Hey guys, today I wanted to make sure that we understood the transmission possibilities for the Varicella zoster virus. So the Varicella zoster virus, or VZV, if you really feel like abbreviating it, causes both chickenpox and shingles. My favorite part of this is that sometimes when you talk about chickenpox, people will say, oh, it's the Varicella virus. And other times when they talk about shingles, they'll say, oh, it's the zoster virus or the herpes zoster. It's the same virus. It just has to do with whether it's your first exposure to the virus or whether it's a reactivation of the virus. So what happens here is that with your first exposure, the first time that an unvaccinated person is exposed to this virus, you get a systemic infection that results in chickenpox. And so chickenpox is more of a systemic type of disease. You get a rash that starts on the trunk. It can then expand to the arms and the legs. And you can get systemic effects. Hey, Rosie. You can get systemic effects like a fever. Once this infection occurs here, I'm the dog's favorite in case you didn't know. Once this infection occurs here, the virus, because it is a herpes virus, will eventually make its way to some of your nerve cells and it will establish a latent long-term infection there. Once you're infected with varicella zoster virus, you have it for the rest of your life. And so anyone who has ever been exposed to this virus and had chickenpox, even if it was a mild infection, later in your life, if you become immunocompromised, you can get a reactivation of this virus. It tends to be a localized reactivation, and this is what shingles is. And so shingles tends to be in a small part of the body. It's really classical presentation on one side of the face or the trunk, in your rib cage, for example, or on the side of your face. You do get a rash here. It's not the same kind of rash, and you also get a lot of nerve involvement. So people can feel tingling and itching, sometimes burning sensations, okay? So what happens with transmission here, you can easily transmit the virus, okay? Chickenpox is a systemic infection. You can transmit the virus either from the rash or from droplets, so our favorite coughing, sneezing, singing scenario. If you transmit the virus from someone with chickenpox, someone else will get chickenpox if it's their first exposure. If it's not their first exposure, they should have immunity. Nothing should happen to them. If you have somebody with shingles, they can still transmit the virus, the varicella zoster virus, but they're way less contagious. So really the only way it's not a systemic infection, really the only way to give shingles to somebody is to directly touch their rash. So don't do that, right? Now the deal here is if somebody has shingles, they can only transmit chickenpox to somebody else. You cannot directly transmit shingles to someone else because shingles is a reactivation. So chickenpox leads to chickenpox, shingles leads to chickenpox. You are transmitting the virus in both cases, not necessarily the disease presentation. Hope you guys are all doing well.